All right, and we're on air. So, welcome everybody, and welcome Josh most of all, and congratulations on being a new dad.
Thank you very much. I'm just getting hydrated here. It's pretty strenuous, but actually, I think moms do most of the work. So, you
Yeah,
know,
that's actually true.
but no, it's been great. I thought I would be a lot more exhausted than I am, so I don't have any complaints.
You take power naps throughout the day, or you guys just like
That's
trade
what they
off?
always say is like, nap during the day whenever the kid sleeps, or but like newborns pretty much are always sleeping. So, it's been she's been aside from like a little tumultuous, but she's been sleeping like a champ through the night in between feedings and stuff. So there's not a lot of like just getting my normal like night sleeps fine. So
Wow. Are you supposed to like, or I mean, I guess it all depends on like how many weeks, but like, isn't there a point where like they need to be fed every so many hours?
oh yeah. I mean she really started out like every 2 to 3. Now she's kind of making it like 3 to 4. So eventually will get larger. I think there's like a 2 month growth spurt though where they get like crazy again and need to eat all the time. But so yeah, I mean there's definitely like frequent wake ups, but they're it's like eat and then go back to sleep. So you know
Cool.
it's all good. It's all good. It's like I'm kind of like I'm enjoying this stage, but I'm also like, okay, like how old are you going to be before we can start playing games together?
Actually, I was just
Before I can break out like pandemic.
visiting a friend, and their kid is just about to be. No, he is 2, and he's starting to talk, and you can start to reason with him a little bit, and it's just um like like kids are great, I like kids, all that kind of stuff, but like babies are like that's not my go-to like age stage. Like I'd rather just skip until they can talk and yeah, and play Pandemic and stuff.
Right.
And like just interact and like I want to like like and he said like he was saying it's like two's kind of a frustrating age because sometimes you can reason with them, but like with a baby, you can't a baby can't help it. You can't do anything to a baby. Like it's just gonna you tell it to put on shoes, nothing's gonna happen. But
Right.
like a 2-year-old can, and you can try to convince them, but sometimes they revert to just like, no matter what you say, it's not going to happen, and so that gets more frustrating than anything else, from what I've heard.
Yeah,
Um,
I could see that, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I guess there are pros and cons at every turn. I'm sure there are
yeah,
probably
right now,
more. It's probably like a kind of a bell curve. I feel like you start getting more and more positive until they hit their teenage years, and then it's like just goes to shit. And then it like bell curves again, right? Like as they start becoming adults, they're kind of cool to hang out with again. So
yeah. On the upside, you put a baby down somewhere, you walk back, it's guaranteed to still be in that same spot.
well, I mean, as long as you're in your house and your dogs are behaving.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like, but like this 2-year-old was sometimes when we were outdoors walking around, he would just randomly book it, like, like, like he was on work duty with like a prison, and like the guards weren't looking. So this,
Well, we may not be too far from that, so watch out, kids. Child labor prison camps are coming.
all right. So the point in this conversation and why this meeting is being called to order is that I'm so compelled because I finally played Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and that was your number one game, right?
um,
Well,
I
it was
don't I
really
don't think it even cracked. It was my just because there were so many great things last year, but it was my top. Out of all those big shooters. I mean, I played Battlefield 1, and I played Titanfall 2, and the other kind of like lesser shooters of the year, Doom, and some of those. Um,
lesser
and
shooter.
and well,
What?
okay, well, well, yeah, so that's the thing is like
So we
I
started with
wanted to play all of them, right? And I absolutely loved all. I didn't think any of those games were bad or even mediocre. Which
but that's
we had
right. I
that
think
many
that's
good.
the problem with like the math and like that kind of stuff. But like, don't don't get me started on that.
Oh yeah. No, of course. No, I mean they were all great games, and I did not expect to like Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and I can kind of get into to why in a minute, but
That first
uh,
trailer was garbage.
I just started hearing like kind of people talking about it and hearing all these things about it. Like, okay, you know what? I know that Titanfall 2 and Battlefield 1 was really good. I guess I may as well go ahead and give Call of Duty a try because people are saying that it's as good or better depending on who you hear from. So I did give it a try, and lo and behold, it was my favorite shooter of last year for sure. And it went beyond just being like my favorite shooter to being like an excellent game, like almost kind of like a masterpiece of a campaign, I think.
Yeah. I think out of those three big shooters, it had the best campaign by far. I I think Battlefield's multiplayer is still significantly better, but that could be just because I'm kind of burned out and aged out of the Twitch shooter stuff. But it's by far the best campaign, and I don't know, like between Battlefield and Titanfall, because I enjoyed both of their campaigns too. Which one is better? Because they're so different. You know,
They're really different, yeah.
Titanfall was a cohesive narrative that really built up the world, and Battlefield was literally going into world history and enlightening like certain exaggerated aspects, but that it felt so important that people should play this. And everyone should watch Lawrence of Arabia and like certain like and All Quiet on the Western Front and all that kind of stuff. But like if they're not going to do that, go ahead and play this and realize that these were important wars, and they're not as important as World War II. Like no war hopefully will be as important as World War II, but World War One was pretty damn close, and it's still like incredibly, just like the monarchs that stopped to exist, resulting directly from that war. But Call of Duty, holy cow, the campaign was just amazing. And I know you had talked it up, and like I wanted to believe you, but I'm like, still Call of Duty. Like, it's just some of the last ones, I enjoyed Black Ops 2, I enjoyed, but like the campaign was just crazy things are happening. And gosh, the one with Kevin Spacey, I think Advanced Warfare.
Yeah.
They had like these kill counts, and there was like one level where I killed like 200 something people, and I'm just like, this is impossible. You're like one soldier going through an engagement can't personally kill. It was just like carnage at such. It was just frustrating. And there were nice aspects of it. There's nice aspects of all these campaigns. Like, say what you will about them, these Call of Duty games, they come out every year, but they are of a passable quality every single time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it helps that that Activision has 3 different studios developing them, so it's not like Madden where the same studio shits out a game every year. They get 3 years to work on them, so that helps, I think.
Yeah, that's true. But that's also relatively recent that they set up the like 3 studio structure. Like a lot, I thought for a while it was just like a 2-year. They had 2, but so certain things I really liked about this campaign, certain things kind of bothered me. I really liked being able to go through the solar system, choosing the missions that I want. That was pretty cool. Definitely a little bit of a Mass Effect feel to it. The fighter missions, the space fighter missions. Great. It actually reminds me a lot of Halo Reach. Did you ever play that one?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, there's one level in Halo Reach where you get in, I forget what they called their fighters, but you get in one of these things and you go off and you have this amazing space level. And then it's dropped from the whole series. And
I hate to say it, but the fighter combat felt so great that it just made me yet again so sad about and how terrible the flight combat is.
The flight combat is in what?
In Star Wars Battlefront, yeah.
We gotta have a agreement where we don't talk about for one.
I don't know. Well, at this point, it's tradition, so I had to mention Star Wars Battlefront. But you can't talk about amazing spaceship combat without talking about how terrible Battlefront is. But anyway, yeah, I digress.
So one thing that actually kind of just a little bit of a tangent, but I really enjoyed the space combat in this game. It reminded me a lot of the space combat in Halo Reach. And then I was like, why wasn't this in Destiny? Especially since
it wasn't Destiny. It's the load screen.
Yeah, well, I wanted a little bit more than that. But Bungie made Halo Reach. You could tell that level was them just experimenting and trying it out. And I would think, I thought it worked. It was great. And I would imagine more people would have thought that too. So playing this and seeing how well this worked between having first-person shooter and separate space missions, I'm like, why the shit didn't Destiny have this? And Destiny would have had it even better because you could have had some of your team, in this you had other friendly fighters flying around. But in Destiny, you could have had real life friendly people flying around in space with you as well. And it was just it made me realize how much of a lost opportunity that was for Destiny. And even with Destiny 2, I don't think they've talked about this is something that they want to bring in. They would be stupid if they didn't, but Call of Duty did so well. All those space missions were really fun. And even though they were optional, they definitely didn't feel like it. Those were ones that I looked forward to playing. And they were unique and varied. And even though you were in the same fighter thing, you were able to swap out your different weapons and different types of enemies, and it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. I mean, to me, I kind of came in skeptical to this game because I really enjoyed Modern Warfare back in the day. Of course, who didn't? It had a really great, memorable campaign. The multiplayer was okay. That kind of Twitch shooter multiplayer never clicked with me as much as Halo. Much prefer Halo, and nowadays kind of Overwatch is kind of my online multiplayer shooter jam. But I was so skeptical, and those fighter missions are really what sold me at first on the game. They were just so fun. The controls were so tight and perfect. It kind of varied up fighting individual enemy fighters versus fighting larger kind of battle frigates, and how you have to strategically use your missiles and your guns, flares, and you can unlock multiple upgrades for your ship, the most powerful guns and the weakest armor. And I was just I'm gonna dodge everything and just take stuff out quicker with the more powerful weapons. And so that was a lot of fun to be able to customize that. So those missions really sold me on the game because they were just so much fun. And I actually went through, you mentioned being able to select your missions on that kind of galaxy map that was reminiscent of Mass Effect. I went through and selected all those side missions first that were fighter missions. I mean, that was the thing. I just want to play this. I don't shooter part of this game at all. I just want to play the fighter missions. But as the regular kind of first person shooter missions unfolded, I think what the previous campaigns on Call of Duty suffered from, and the reason I got away from that franchise, aside from thinking that the multiplayer is kind of terrible, I gave up on that franchise a long time ago because the campaigns were kind of like the whole shooting gallery thing, right? Like people always talk about shooting gallery where like the guys are kind of popping in and out and you got to like kind of rush past the right trigger point to like trigger the next thing to happen. And it's just like these monster closets like you have in Destiny. And it just didn't feel that varied and fun ever. The set pieces were always great. You know, the writing was never that bad. But it was kind of like I was just there while all these set pieces and things were happening around me. And I'm in this like dumb shooting gallery that's not fun to play. This game varied it up. I mean, you're around like through enemy camps. There's a little stealth. There's a little action. Then you're like using some explosives. The next thing you know, you're out in a space suit and you're floating around with your grappling hook between asteroids, and you're grappling other space guys and pulling them to you and like breaking their necks or slitting their throats. You know, there's a lot of just variance in the type of gameplay and the type of weapons that you use and everything. And just every mission felt so different that I always wanted to play the next one. And then the last thing kind of on top of that is just how well the character development was done. You know, I could tell you about Soap McTavish and all those guys in Modern Warfare, but the rest of the Call of Duties got to the point where they never really developed the characters so much. And they were just like, you know, random SAS guy with a mustache or something, you know, like I dare anybody out there to name like 5 Call of Duty characters from any other game than Modern Warfare. They probably can't do it, right? Yeah. But like I saw this game like a couple months ago, and I still, you know, remember all of the characters pretty well because they're all just so likable and developed well. And then, not to mention your little robot buddy in this game. You know, he was truly delightful to have around. I mean, he was almost K2SO-esque, right? Because he's like kind of cracking wisecracks and all that. So I you know, I kind of saw Rogue One like right after I beat this game. So I was like, oh, this is kind of K2SO. A lot going on there. But you know, story-wise, I think the other thing about this story is it does a good job of getting to the climax. I felt like you know, with Battlefield 1, you're kind of like playing multiple characters throughout the campaign, right? And so there are these short, important chunks of history. They're very interesting. But gameplay-wise, I didn't feel like I was doing a lot that I had never done before in a game. And the characters set of missions and you're done, you switch to the next guy. So I feel like you never really get in a good story rhythm. And then same thing with Titanfall 2. I mean, that campaign's short. It's super short. I feel like it was broken up by these really dumb like platformer elements that they kind of like did not belong in that campaign to me. It felt like they kind of took away from it. Whereas with Infinite Warfare, each mission is progressively advancing the story. You're hitting these great story beats, constantly bubbling to a head to this big final encounter that felt really epic and fun. And it's preceded by this sort of like really tragic moment, and it really does feel like this last ditch effort kind of mission that was just a lot of fun to play, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And we can go ahead and spin out for a long time, and we can go ahead and switch to spoiler.
All right, yeah. So spoiler warning is here.
So one problem I had with the game, and I really enjoyed the campaign, but there's certain aspects of the campaign that I thought was just really dumb and just didn't make logical sense. They're just kind of like plot holes that bothered me. One was the mission where you want to do this trap and you want to take out the implant that this one guy has, and then that will cause the fleet to come in early, and then the guns will take it out and all that kind of stuff. But he somehow escapes and then blows up all the guns, and then he kills himself in order to have them come in the fleet. I'm just thinking to myself how dumb and convoluted of a plan that is, on both ends of it. And one, if he blows up all these guns do you really need to have that agent kill themselves in order to find a way, like, to bring that message that it's done? You would think that if you just set up a camera on one of these guns somewhere and be like, oh, there was a bunch of explosions in this city. It's being reported on public news.
Yeah, yeah. I was a little confused at that part of the story as well, and
And the
maybe I
fact,
blocked it out because I almost like until you brought it up again, I had forgotten about it. But I do remember being a little confused. Although I will say that mission where you're on foot chasing that guy is really cool.
like, the mission itself was fun, but like the reason of why you're doing it. So you go to Earth wanting to activate the beacon and lure them in, and then midway through the mission, suddenly you're trying to stop them from doing the thing that you were trying to do.
Yeah, yeah.
And the guns were still on at that some point. And so, like, yeah, he escapes out of that convoy, but somehow, why are all the explosives ready to go all of a sudden? Like, what was special about him? And if there was a bunch of these guys on Geneva, or like, where was it, Warsaw or Geneva? I forget what.
I think it was Geneva. Yeah.
Yeah, if there were all these Martians essentially in Geneva that you're gonna kill for the next half hour, why didn't they just blow up the guns and then have one of them signal to bring in the fleet? It was just like so it was just a little bit of a plot hole that, like,
I mean, they could have sent an email, right? Like, did they have to have a guy embedded with a chip?
yeah, it's like, oh, Fred's got to commit suicide in order to send this message, because that's the only form of communication we have is death transmitters.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I remember being a little confused at that mission, and then I don't know. I think that that happens so closely to like kind of that final sprint where the ships crash on. What do they crash on? I don't even know. Yeah. So I mean, that like last kind of sprint where all that stuff happens is like so packed with action and like main characters dying left and right that I think I quickly forgot about that piece. But yeah, I think you're totally correct in that is a little bit of weird. I don't know. Somebody didn't really check through the script very closely there because it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, and like something that's kind of interesting is like when some of these main characters start just like dying, like one of the times where the door gets opened and suddenly it's like just the people in front just like all get shot up and like that character is dead. I'm like, yeah, that's what should have happened to me 20 different times in this campaign when I like, shot a bunch of times and then like, oh, I'm just gonna turn in the corner here and then I'll be fine. It's kind of interesting when you have deaths in games where the character that you played survived so many of those exact same interactions.
Yeah.
Like a great example is I was playing Wolfenstein and I'm like doing fine. I'm killing all these people. Love that game. But I'm opening up this door and I'm like, oh, like, I know at some point I have to lose and I have to get captured and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm going to open up this door and then I'm suddenly going to be overpowered by like one person and then knocked out. Even though I've opened up 20 different doors before and like killed the 30 people that were in this room. It's just kind of a trope. And just like how much you get shot up and like, yeah, it's like it's like I should be like this random guy dying is the realistic aspect of it. Me, the character, should be dead. And like another thing, did you ever play Borderlands 2?
Oh yeah.
So spoilers for Borderlands 2, but like when Roland dies, it's just like yeah, we all die all the time. Like that's why there are these stations that just regenerate you.
I guess he just ran out of cash. He didn't have enough cash to pay for the respawn.
So. Like he's a vault hunt. Like even if it's like death exists, but it's like these things are only for vault hunters or they're only like for rich people or like all this kind of stuff. Like Yeah, Roland was one of those. Like, I died a bunch of times as playing Roland in the first game, but he gets killed by Handsome Jack, and suddenly that's like this big permanent thing when it's like it's built into the game that you die and that you come back. It's not like it's just you respawn at your last checkpoint. It's like, no, you're being regenerated. It's costing you money. It's in the narrative that you can die and you just come back. So
You know, Jean Grey says hello.
yeah, that's true too.
Yeah, you know, so
that was. But other than that, I really like there. Well, did you have any problems with the campaign? Like things that just rubbed you the wrong way?
you know, I really didn't, and I think that's why I liked it more than the other ones, because with Battlefield 1, you know, there were a couple little problems I had, mostly related to, I guess, like some of the missions felt kind of drawn out to me, like I was doing the same thing over and over a little too much.
Yeah.
And with Titanfall 2, it was really those platforming sections, especially that one that's like in a factory with all the platforms like moving along a conveyor belt. Oh, that was just a chore to play that part.
Well, that was the favorite part that everyone had in Attack of the Clones was the droid factory part. So it's
Yeah.
like make a whole level because this is what the people want.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. Yeah, it was Attack of the Clones with guns and some little special powers. Yeah, I don't know. So I really didn't have any major issues with the campaign. You know, I think if anything, I would have liked more opportunities to use some of the like power ups. That you get, some of the different power ups and weapons. Like you can customize your loadout before you, but it never really seemed to matter that much to me. So I just ended up always going with whatever the armor was. His name Griff, like Griff's recommendations or whatever. Like I always just ended up going with that default loadout because it didn't seem to matter. That being said, though, I think that like some of the power ups were cool. I dropped off from Call of Duty long enough ago that I don't know like how new some of these things are. But like some of the little attack drones and different shields and ups and things like that. I definitely have seen those in the Killzone games because I've played through all of those, but I don't know if they're new to Call of Duty so much or not. Maybe they're not, but those were kind of cool.
Yeah, no, they definitely were. It was they had like seeker type things before, but I think they were more of equipment rather than like your grenade slots. And the energy shield thing that would be like a thing that you could like pick up in like a scripted section, but I don't think it was like, oh, I have this thing that it was definitely a cool power.
I really like the shield, man. I would get that thing and just like run up and bash as many guys in the face as I could before it ran out of power. It was so fun to just like kind of one hit KO those guys in the face with the shield. But I think one of the cool things that they did, and one of the things I really liked about the campaign, you know, my two favorite moments in the campaign involve the robot, and I'm already blanking
Ethan.
on his Ethan, yeah. So Ethan, my two favorite moments of the game were with Ethan. One, you know, spoilers again, but one being when he and the commander are both ejected like out into space, and they're kind of like having a loving embrace there, you know, and like the commander's about to freeze to death, and the robot's like, "Well, I'm not gonna freeze. I'm a robot," but they're like kind of like in a warm embrace there. It's like, I don't know. It was kind of like weird that was like the pain, but I thought it was a pretty cool little story beat just because it's like reminded me a lot of like Luke and R2, right? Like there's this kind of like companionship between the droid and the owner.
Droid is card.
Yeah. So, you know, yeah, exactly. So I think that was a cool moment. And then obviously the ending of the game involving Ethan really being the one to go in and kind of finally destroy that like final factory there that was kind of like the last mission. About that and kind of cool about also the part where you like take out Jon Snow or whatever his character's name was.
Yeah, it's funny
Which
how the game still goes on for a few hours even after you kill him.
Yeah, he's set up as this big antagonist, and then you take him out really actually relatively easily, and then there's like still this whole like still some more game left to play, but that the fact that they introduced that cool mechanic where in one of your grenade slots you can have a hacking thing or enemy robots on the battlefield, and then go and shoot. You're suddenly behind enemy lines, so you can just like turn left, turn right, shoot enemies as this like kind of rebel droid now. And then when you're
the other games, but it wasn't like a grenade slot. It was just like a timer slot that you could do.
Yeah, and I love that, like, as soon as you're about to die, you know what, just run into a big group of them and you can self-destruct. I mean, that's like such a cool mechanic. And then to make the end of the game basically take over your own robot, Ethan, to kind of do that like last overloading the station or whatever it is he does. I think tying that like early on kind of just what seemed like just another kind of grenade slot mechanic and making that sort of almost how you beat the game was kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, no, it was very cool, and I hope other games learn from this. I want Destiny to be better because of this game. I want Mass Effect to be better because of this game. Like this is how you do it, and I want a lot of different franchises to learn from this, of having interesting characters that you care about, to have a poignant story, to have it more than just be set piece after set piece, to have these optional missions, to have upgrades. You do these extra missions, and
bless you.
you get rewarded with perks, and like they're not like huge. Like you could obviously beat the game without them, but it gives you a little bit of incentive to like dig deeper into it, and it's just.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret that I kind of hate Destiny, but Call of Duty and Destiny are both Activision properties. So if they do kind of borrow from some of the critical success of this and build that into Destiny 2, there's a good chance I would play Destiny 2. I mean, if it had the space combat alone that Call of Duty Infinite Warfare has, I'm sold. Like I will just get in and play nothing but that the whole time. That's fine.
Yeah, you have like the worst guns in the game, but your ship is just like completely decked out.
yeah. Be like that Ewok that used to be in Wraith Squadron or whatever.
Yeah. So this is I think we pretty much like I'm embarrassed I didn't play this game earlier. You're definitely right. It's the best of the 3 shooters. Campaign-wise, sure. I still enjoy the Battlefield 1 multiplayer just because I like the fact that it feels like a Battlefield.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I mean, I played maybe 3 matches of Infinite Warfare multiplayer. Although I gotta say, I almost completely forgot about this. But did you play Zombies?
No, I forgot to.
Okay, so the multiplayer sucks. It's Call of Duty multiplayer. Sorry to everybody who likes Call of Duty multiplayer. I don't. Ever.
Hey, we're old.
Yeah, we're too old for that Twitch crap, right? But so I totally with you. Battlefield 1 has the better multiplayer. Just for me, it's because it's different. You can spawn right into vehicles. Does a lot of like fun stuff that just keeps it feeling fresh and more interesting. But the Call of Duty Zombies, I'd never played Call of Duty Zombies before because I haven't really played.
I World at War, the World War II one after Modern Warfare.
Right.
I played so much of that Zombies.
Yeah, and I think that's the one where they introduced it, right? So. And I hadn't, I haven't been on the Call of Duty train since Modern Warfare, but I tried the Zombies in Infinite Warfare, and I actually spent like a week waking up early in the mornings to like play a couple hours of that because it does take. You need to dedicate a little time to it because if you really want to get through it's kind of like Horde mode, right? In Gears of War or something. So some time to it if you want to try to like get through all the waves, which I never did in the short time I spent with it, but I got pretty far. But it has this really awesome 80s vibe. You're trapped in like an 80s arcade / amusement park, and the zombies are like trying to come in from the outside. So the aesthetic alone is really cool, and then it's fun to play. It's fun. It's horde mode, first person shooter horde mode, and you get to like kind of customize your weapons and stuff. But they did like these cool little tweaks to it where like when you die, you go to this like underworld arcade, and all of the previous like Activision games like Pitfall and some of those old Atari games, they're like stand-up coin-op arcade games, and you have to play those to earn enough points to respawn.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so and your teammates can also respawn you if they do certain things, but that's one of the ways that you can respawn back in the day. So just a lot of cool little things there. I think one of the first DLCs they're releasing is another zombies map that's going to be kind of like a Scooby-Doo inspired haunted swamp mansion kind of setting for this. Looks like
Kevin Smith one, or if that may even be that same one.
Yeah, I think that's gonna. Yeah, I think Kevin Smith. Yeah, so yeah, definitely try the zombies out. It's definitely worth playing. I'm never gonna have the time to get like super good in an online shooter, but I did enjoy my little time spent with the zombies.
Yeah. I mean, I love that mode. I just didn't play it for this version. Like I played it so much at World at War, and then not as bit of extent, but the Black Ops games I would play a lot of the zombie ones, and then like it's just after like 1,000 hours or like whatever I played of it, because I played the War of World War so much with so many.
So in those older ones, did you like have to build up money to unlock areas of the map?
Yeah, but
Okay.
the very first one, the map was just one building.
Oh, okay.
And then the DLC it got bigger, and those were Nazi zombies, and so they all had a World War II theme of them, and like that was just a lot of fun.
This is like 19, I don't know what era you would call it, like maybe 1960s style zombies, and then like the creature, there are these like bigger boss creatures who spawn who aren't zombies, but they look kind of like Scooby-Doo villains, like those Blue Lagoon monsters or something. They look like guys in big like mascot suits or something. And then like the zombies who rush you, who are like the exploding types, those are big clowns, big fat clowns. So it's this arcadey carnival 80s vibe to it. It's kind of a lot of fun, and you can collect like you can find different coins on the map, and if you collect enough coins, you can like put them in a claw machine in the arcade to like pull out a better gun, and like all these cool little things.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, a lot of those mechanics they've kind of been tweaking and refining over the years. Is there anything else about Call of Duty you want to mention? I think
No, I don't think so. I think my last word on if you're like me and you swore off Call of Duty a long time ago, it's time to jump back in. This is the one.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree with that too. And I look forward to revisiting this timeline. I think this was just one ship and one crew. They could easily revisit this like mini universe that they created for themselves.
For sure.
All right. Well, that's it for everybody. So goodbye, and definitely give this game a try if you hadn't already. And if you had, go ahead and write in the comments what were some of your favorite parts.
Bye, everybody.